Hello and welcome to Mo Sports. Yes, we come right in time for us to cover all the events of the weekend and still build up to the matches that are coming up in the Euro 2020, the Copa America, and also in the Egyptian Premier League. Welcome to Mo Sports. My name is Mo. Sitting across the table from me is our in-house sports analyst, Mr. OB.KNOWS. He'll be sharing some of his football knowledge with us. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to do the small business of the Mo riddle. This week, it reads as follows. I mean, it's a new week, it's a new riddle. This is what it says. It says, I'm an Italian legend who represented the national team 56 times between the year 1988 and 2004. I graced the fields for Fiorentina, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Brescia, to name a few. Who am I? Now, if you know who this player is, it's as easy as saving the following number. It's 071-621-4746. And once you say the number on your phone, you go on your WhatsApp, and then you can send us the answer. Join the long list of people that have been showing us over the weekend that they know their football very well by answering the riddles that we gave them. And don't forget, while you're still on your phone, don't forget to SMS Super TV to 30978. Obi knows how you doing.
I'm fine, thanks yourself, man.
I'm good. What should the people expect on today's show?
Well, on today's show, we are looking at talking about what's been going on in the Euros. Of course, it's been a festive weekend. Kicking off the Euros on Friday. We're going to let you know what's been going on throughout the weekend. We'll also be talking about Copa America. Brazil have seemed to caught some fire in the game that they played earlier on this morning. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that Brazilian fixture before we go into the Egyptian Premier League and give you a quick update of what's going on. So let's kick it off with the international sting and jump into the Euros.
Euro 2020-2021 edition has been a wild ride so far. I mean, we've seen some of the biggest sides enjoying their football. We've also had some medical concerns for some of the biggest names in world football. And right now, we have to talk about the match of the moment. That's England's first game of the Euro 2020. Now, Obi.KNOWS mentioned something off air when we were discussing this yesterday. It was like, if England go through to the knockout phase, they might actually play all their games at Wembley. When looking at their record at Wembley, I mean, only 2 losses in the last 26 or so games. It's a very, very scary stat for a team like that. I mean, for them to play this whole tournament at home is going to be one hell of an advantage. But yesterday, the advantage showed when Raheem Sterling put them in front with that goal. And the assist from Phillips has brought in a lot of attention to the young player, Obi.KNOWS. A Leeds United midfielder that not a lot of people knew. Just last season, no one knew of him.
Yeah.
He came in this season, his first maiden season in the Premier League, and already he's a starting player in the England squad. Yeah. And not only that, a lot of other young players also starting in that game. I mean, Phil Foden started, Mason Mount started, Kevin Phillips was in there, Declan Rice was in there. Yeah. I mean, the only elder statement we can talk about is your Pickfords, is your Kanes, is your Sterlings, and everybody else looked like a fresh breath of air.
It was a fresh young England squad. You know, something that we pretty much should have expected by just looking at the overall pick of the squad. I mean, most of them are very young talents, and of course, let's speaking about Phillips. Phillips is actually, remember Owen Hargreaves?
Yes.
When he first made an international appearance for England, he was still playing for Bayern Munich, and at that
Yeah.
time, there was no players who were playing for the English national team and were not playing in the EPL.
Yeah.
And after Owen Hargreaves, the next player to play in the English squad and not be playing in the EPL was Kevin Phillips. And Calvin Phillips was actually playing in the second division at that time in the championship with Leeds when he made his international debut, which kind of shows us who this guy really is and what pedigree he has, in terms of his footballing skills. I mean, he's shown to be one of the best central defensive midfielders in the league, and coming out to show that he can perform also at the biggest stages. I mean, that performance he gave yesterday, cleaning up at the back, making sure that
he was all over the pitch.
He was all over the pitch, and at the goal that he scored, I mean, there was a couple of players who were trying to shake him off the ball, but it was kind of impossible because the balance he has as well. I mean, you could say because he's short, the energy.
I was actually surprised to see him so explosive. I mean, when you look at him in the Leeds United context, he's a player that holds that midfield, plays from left to right, not really dynamic runs towards the goals. But yesterday, the goal, I mean, the assist that he gave, I mean, for me, when I saw that, not only the number 14 comparison, it was going to be like, no, it's because he's wearing number 14. Mo's going to say he was running in that channel where you'd find a Jordan Henderson. But that's exactly the channel where you definitely find Jordan Henderson making those runs. And the pass, in fact, on his left foot. I mean, that was just all around a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, it was all around. I mean, like you could see that, he had the tenacity to keep the ball on his feet despite the pressure around him, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, a lot of people are saying they're comparing him to Gini Wijnaldum. I don't think you can compare him to Gini, right? But I think that bit of that moment in that game where you couldn't shake him off the ball, where, he brought the ball from his strongest foot and brought it to his weaker foot and managed to put a pass for Sterling to run on. It's glimpses of something that you'd want to see if you're a Liverpool fan next season. But I think he had a brilliant performance. I think also Declan Rice in that midfield allowed Kevin Phillips to be able to make those runs, be a box to box, because if you have someone like Declan Rice, you're sure that even if the wing backs are pushing up front, he's going to be there to clean up, and he's been doing it so well with Thomas Souček at West Ham United, and they bring in the national team, and it's very beautiful to see happening.
All right, and then Phil Foden started ahead of two very big name players. We're talking about Marcus Rashford and Jack Grealish, which is shocking. OB knows. I know Foden had a great season. The only thing more shocking was his hairstyle. I mean, I was looking for him on the pitch. I was like, where is Foden? I see his name on the team sheet, but where is the player? Only to find that he has a wavy new hairstyle. That's a great hairstyle, but he's starting ahead of Rashford, and he's starting ahead of Grealish. Two players that I would have never thought that Foden would have gotten a pick ahead of them. So, but do you think it was a great choice?
It turned out to be a great choice. I mean, it showed to be a great choice from the first few minutes of the game. I mean, taking, getting in behind those channels and getting, shaping away from the defender and, eyeing the goal and taking a left foot shot, and it hit the woodwork. Unfortunate that, it had to hit the post and didn't go in. But we're talking about a player who's proved to be, an important player for Manchester City. I mean, more specifically in the Champions League. I mean, that's where we saw the most of Phil Foden last season. And I do think that, after making that appearance, I think it's very hard for Marcus Rashford to stake a claim in the starting lineup. I mean, if Foden doesn't start next game, then you have a lot of questions that you're asking. And Raheem Sterling as well, a surprise addition, in yesterday's lineup. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were thinking he has not had the greatest of seasons at Manchester City, so maybe Rashford should have started ahead of him. But he also got the goal, so it would be very hard for Gareth Southgate to pull him out in the next game and not play him.
I hear people's argument when it comes to Sterling, but remember, this is Sterling post Pep Guardiola. And we've seen what Pep Guardiola has done for most of these players that are playing international football at the moment. All these players post Pep are different beasts altogether. I mean, I looked at Sterling, intelligent running. I mean, he got into a space between the two centre-backs. He was able to read the situation. The centre-back is trying to go close down Phillips, and he ran into that channel, and he was able to score that goal. Now, my question is, post Pep, that's what Sterling would definitely do. But before Pep, do we still think that Sterling would have been that player? Because he would have been out wide, hugging the touchline, trying to dribble players and trying to get into the box. But post Pep, he's a more intelligent player. Yep. He's more of a finisher than he was a dribbler. I mean, before Pep, he was more of a dribbler. We all knew him as beating 4 players in the box and taking a weak shot, and everybody complains, no end product. But post Pep, a very intelligent player, and that's what I think Gareth Southgate recognized, and he said, I need someone like this. I can't always rely on Kane to get all my goals. And he was right, because Kane did hit the bar towards the end of that match, and it looked like a very dangerous thing, because it might have been a very serious injury, and Kane would have been missing for the rest of the tournament, and who would take up the banner from there? It's something that you need to discuss, because also, look at England's squad. That means their whole core would be gone. Maguire is missing, Henderson is missing, and without Kane, that core is now gone. We have to now rely on young talent, and you know what happens with young talent towards the end of the tournament? They always get trumped by experience. But let's move on. Let's go talk about Austria versus North Macedonia. OB knows, a game where Arnautovic was the headliner for me. So,
so from everyone who played 90 minutes, the guy who came on for like 15 minutes is the one for you.
He's the one! I mean, he scored the most goals in qualifying for this team. But let's talk about what happened in this match.
It was surprising. It was surprising that he was excluded from the starting lineup. First of all, I mean, like we thought, he would be the marquee player for Austria going forward. Of course they've got Alaba at the back, but with Arnautovic in the team, I think Arnautovic gives you that. He's an awkward player to mark, because you don't usually face such big, strong wingers, and him being that
competent
player,
on both feet,
very, very good on both feet as well. So he's a tough player to mark, very awkward for defenders to close down. So I thought they might have started with him, but proving his worth, coming on and getting that goal as well, kind of gave us a closer look at Austria, because it was their first win in European competition. I mean, in the Euros, it was the first win, and for them to do it like this against North Macedonia, a team which I would have punted that would be a trouble, would give them trouble, which they did to an extent. They did give them a bit of trouble, but I would say that, this win was an important one for Austria, because had they not got this one, they don't have confidence going into the next game.
Yeah, but do you think Pendev's goal, at the age of 37, this elder statesman still got himself that goal in this opening game. So he was the player we spoke about when all of this started. He's been the player throughout the qualifiers who has been inspiring this team to do such great things. I even saw a little documentary they did on him, and they were saying that this is the man who's helping this team tick. This is the man that all the players are looking up to because of the career he's had. I mean, played with under Jose Mourinho at Inter Milan. And a lot of young players around him. I mean, they're looking to him to be providing all the answers, and he did when he scored that goal.
I think what North Macedonia do, they play according to what Pendev can give them. You know, I mean, if we're looking at a Liverpool team, for example, you know, they've got their front three players, you know, adding pressure onto the defense. With North Macedonia, they don't have fast players. They don't have someone, you know, who can be able to press that defense once, you know, Pendev is not a fast player. He's not going to go into look at the defense and put pressure on them. So North Macedonia, they really depend on their defenders to do the job from the back. You know, they really depend on, let's sit back, let them attack us, and once we get the ball, then we can do something with it. That's exactly what we saw. You know, then we get it to Pendev, you know what I'm saying? But they play according to their strengths and what, you know, they avoid, you know, showing off their weaknesses, which is pressing the ball. Because once they have Pendev pressing the ball, then there's too much space in between, you know, that first line of defense and the midfield. So one thing they do is that they know how to sit back, and that's why I thought they'd be a dangerous side. And maybe that's why Arnautovic didn't start, because they wanted to weigh out and see how is North Macedonia going to come at us, because the main way they play is sit back, let them attack us, let's catch them on the break. And I think it almost worked for them, but towards that, towards the last minutes of the game, the substitutes that were brought on, both getting the goal. So it's very good to see the coach making such a big stake in the game.
All right, let's talk about Frank de Boer's team. The team that OB.KNOWS is complaining about. It's like, that's not a coach, that's just a placeholder. But Frank de Boer came out and won himself 3-2. Now, it was, you know, in South Africa, it was not smooth at all. It was not smooth at all.
What's the Netherlands lineup? Like, what's their original formation?
No, but before we get to the lineup, before we get to the formation and the system, you need to first recognize that all those goals, I mean, the first 2 goals they scored came from goalkeeping errors. Now, the first goal they scored, Gini, the goalkeeper, deflected. Gini put that in the back of the net. The second goal they scored was a very scrappy goal. I mean, it's not convincing goals. Memphis Depay did get a couple of chances to run at the defenses, but for some odd reason, he runs away from goal. He runs towards the left of the post, and it looks like he's a player that's trying to keep the ball more than trying to challenge a player. If someone's on his right-hand side, he's running away from them, trying to protect the ball and not trying to do anything more overzealous. I mean, a team where your number 8 or your number 10 in Gini Wijnaldum is getting more of the goals, more of the ball, it says a lot about the kind of strikers that you have. Luke de Jong sitting on the bench, he's not being used as a player, and I know you want for the classic number 9, and there's a team maybe that should be implementing that system to say, let's put someone up there who will hold a position. We can throw the ball to him, get everybody behind him, put the ball down, and then we can try to get a goal. But literally, these goals are coming from midfield, and they're not coming because they have a classic number 9. They're coming because their number 9 is playing towards the wing. I mean, he gets the ball, he's running away from goal. He gets the ball, he's running away from goal. And all their shots usually come from outside the box, which means there's no penetrative energy from Netherlands, which is something they need to look into. But the biggest problem they have is defensively. I mean, you guys are leading 2-0. You already have most of this game done, and then you guys go on and concede 2 goals. The nature of the goals, yes, is something we need to talk about. I mean, the first one was a header. The second one was that beautiful goal by Yarmolenko. And to let Yarmolenko, on his left foot, his dangerous foot, have 3 touches, look up, have all the time and space in the world to put the ball in the top left-hand corner. It says a lot about where the defenders are. I mean, the midfielders also watching this thing. Wijnaldum is too high up because he has to support Memphis Depay. He's not going to close down Yarmolenko. Yarmolenko literally was in a cavity of space that's created by the way Netherlands is playing. It's not created by the intelligence of the Ukraine. It was more of, this is where the Netherlands has a deficiency, right there in the middle of the park. You will say that they're missing a lot of key players, which they are. But when you look at that goal that they conceded, especially the second one, how many teams around the Euros can score that exact same goal? I mean, with Switzerland, they have Shaqiri who can do that. I mean, Arnautovic can do that on both feet. So it's something that they'll need to address. And that lucky goal for me, the third goal was a lucky goal for me. I mean, as much as...
The goalkeeper have done a lot better with that one. I mean, I feel like his footwork let him down there. You know, I mean, he had a chance to get to the ball, but I think his footwork really did let him down there. But speaking a little bit more about the Netherlands, I mean, I think if you're a coach of a team, you know, you want to have Memphis Depay coming off the flank and rather cutting in, and not him running from a central position and going out wide. And that's what you get when you play him as a centre forward. You know, you don't really get him giving you, you know, the penetration from out wide. But one thing that I can give Frank de Boer is that, you know, he knew exactly what his plan was. I mean, looking at the way the wing backs were so important in this game. I mean, Dumfries actually getting that goal, that last goal you're talking about. I think he was even the man of the match in yesterday's game. So, you know, I would give him credit to say, okay, Sharp, we see that you didn't play the traditional traditional 4-3-3 of Netherlands. You decided to play a 5-3-2, but at least the wing backs are doing their job, and we got the win. So I think at this point, I'm still not convinced with Netherlands simply because they let go of a 2-0 lead. I'm still not convinced with them. So I'll have to wait and see in the next game how they perform. But I'm still not convinced by Netherlands.
All right, let's go to the website real quick and go see how the groups are now standing. Don't forget, for you to join us on the website, it's as easy as picking up your phone and SMSing Super TV, one word, to 30978. Let me repeat that for you. Super TV to 30978. Don't SMS Super TV, one word, to 30978. Let's go. Let's go to match info, OB.KNOWS. Let's go to statistics. Let's go to soccer. International. Let's go to Euro Cup. Let's go to fixtures.
Look at tables.
Let's go to tables, my bad. Let's go to tables. We've already talked about the fixtures. And as you can see, Italy are leading their group. They have all 3 points, and that's because Switzerland and Wales played out to a draw, which puts them on 1 point each, with Turkey having lost out to Italy. Now, let's scroll down. Denmark having lost to Finland in that game. Belgium beat Russia, and they got a whole 3 goals scored, and they haven't conceded anything, so their goal difference on 3. Both Finland and Belgium sitting on 3 points. Austria and Netherlands lead Group C very earlier on. They both have their wins. Ukraine and North Macedonia have it all to do in the next round of fixtures. Let's scroll down. As you can see, England will sitting top of the group. They have all 3 points. Czech Republic and Scotland still yet to kick off. We'll be talking about that after the break. Let's scroll down. OB.KNOWS. Poland, Slovakia, Spain, Sweden have not kicked off. And the group of death, Group F, has not kicked off either. France, Germany, Hungary, and Portugal. They're saying it's a reunion tour for Mr. CR7 himself, because he's going to be playing some of his old teammates, Toni Kroos for Germany and Benzema for France. So let's put the website away. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation around the Euros and see what matches we have to look forward to during the week.
You are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150. Are watching Super TV, Open View, channel 150.
Welcome back to Mo Sports. Now, if you're just joining us, you missed out on all the conversations about the Euro 2020. You were late. You missed it. Sad news for you. I'm kidding. Welcome to the show. We're still talking Euro 2020 here on Mo Sports, channel 150 on your open view code at Super TV, powered by Super Bets. Alternative means of catching the show, you just have to search for Super TV either on Facebook or on YouTube and just follow or subscribe to our channel for more of this delicious content. As usual, I'm joined by Mr. OB.KNOWS and we are discussing all things Euro 2020 at this moment in time. But before I get ahead of myself, let's look at this Mo riddle. So he's an Italian legend, made 56 appearances between the year 1988 and 2004 for the Italian national side. He also played for a whole bunch of clubs, including Brescia, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, and I forget the one club he also made an appearance for, but you can read it for yourself. The number you need to submit your answer to via WhatsApp is 071 621 4746. So you join us right in time for us to talk about the games that are coming up. And the first of which is Scotland versus the Czech Republic. OB.KNOWS, are we excited to see Mr. Robertson in action?
Are we excited to see Robertson? So we're going to talk about a left back.
We're going to talk about a left back in this team, a left back.
I mean, look, Scotland have been missing for 26 years. No, 24 years. Make that 24 years. They've been missing for 24 years in a continental competition. So they haven't been here in a very, very long time. And, having listened to what, the fans are saying about, Scotland being here, they are really excited, with the squad they have right now. They've got a couple of players there who are playing in the Premiership, the Premier League. They've got an Arsenal left back. They've got a Liverpool left back, a title-winning Liverpool left back, a Champions League-winning Liverpool left back. So I do think that they are feeling a lot more confident. I mean, the midfield, they've got Scott McTominay in there as well. So I think this squad is a bit more exciting for the Scottish people than it has ever been in a number of years.
I mean, it's been a while since they've been playing at this stage, and I'm looking at some of the facts that we see. But in qualifiers, they didn't perform all too bad. They had 5 wins, and they had no draws and 5 losses, which is a 50-50 clean. And then they had 16 goals scored, and they only conceded 19 goals. So although the goal difference was in the negatives, but they did have a good qualifying campaign. In 2016, they didn't qualify, and their best 2 finishes were group stage finishes in the years 1992 and 1996. Key players we need to look for: Steve Clark, OB.KNOWS. Do you know Steve Clark? Sorry.
Steve Clark is the coach.
Yeah, I'm saying, do you know Steve Clark?
Yeah, Steve
Was he not a player before?
I've never seen him play.
He played.
I've never seen Steve Clark play.
He's a former Chelsea player and he started his coaching life under Ruud Gullit as an assistant at Newcastle United in 1998. So we speak of him as a player because of his Chelsea days, especially now that Chelsea won the Champions League. Chelsea fans would never forgive us if we spoke about him and not mention the fact that he played for them. And then now let's move on. 2 key players, Billy Gilmour and John McGinn.
John McGinn from Aston Villa. I mean, he's been one thing he's been doing for Aston Villa is cleaning up in that back because he's part of the 2 holding midfielders in the team. He would rather be sitting with Douglas Luiz alongside him or Marvelous Nakamba, at Aston Villa. So he's very good at cleaning up. He's very good as well as getting goals from outside the box. So that's one thing that he gives you. He gives you a very good, defensive shift, but also can score from outside the box, which is a positive. I mean, you're looking at who he'll be playing alongside. Scott McTominay, another player who's very important in that engine room. But you're making mention of Billy Gilmour. I mean, a player that a lot of Chelsea fans will be hoping to see a lot more of, in the near future, because what he did there was a certain game he played against Liverpool, and he ran that midfield like he's
rugged.
You know what I'm saying? Like he ran it as if...
Sorry. We have a Chelsea fan on the... What are you saying, Mr. Chelsea fan? Oh, he played well in the cup match. He says it was a cup match.
Yes, it was a cup. Was it FA Cup or Carabao? Doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is that Billy Gilmour, he's that player who, he's very good on the ball, very good in finding space as well, can pick out a pass as well. I'm just not too sure if he's going to be starting ahead of John McGinn or ahead of Scott McTominay. So we'll have to wait and see, what Steve Clark decides to do with that lineup. But I do think that they've got such an exciting young team that the Scottish people can look out for.
So, is there any noticeable players you wanted to mention here that you wanted to talk about Vladimir Šmića and your Milan Baroš?
Yeah, but because we don't really know a lot about, Czech Republic, and Czech Republic has given you Peter Cech, Czech Republic, Peter Cech, He's coming from
Thomas Rosicky,
Thomas Rosicky. You know what I'm saying? So,
but you should also remember that this team once won this Euro. This was back in 1976, but back then was Czechoslovakia. and now they're the Czech Republic. So it's a whole different. It's the same thing with USSR and Russia. So it's the Czechoslovakia and the Czech Republic. But the last time they were out, they got knocked out in the group stages. So do you think there's another group stage finish for them, or do you think that they may be in a group that they can navigate out of?
I think they can navigate themselves out of this group. I mean, in fact, in this game, as much as I'm raving about Scotland, I think in this game they've got a bit of a stake. You know, they can win this game. I mean, I did make mention of Thomas Suchek when we're talking about Declan Rice, but Thomas Suchek is part of this team that is trying to bring a renaissance to Czech football. You know, because we're taking a look at the teams that are performing from Czech Republic. We're talking about Slavia Prague, you know, a team that Thomas Suchek himself comes from, and we saw Slavia Prague play against Barcelona in the Champions League. We've seen them, you know, that was Restapel, great, but we're talking about a team here that has, you know, out of nowhere, brought Czech football back onto the map. So in terms of, you know, do they have the right players to get out of the group stages? I think they do. I think they've got the right mentality. Maybe not a golden era as we've been speaking about some of the national teams that are in this competition, but they definitely can get themselves out of these group stages.
All right, let me hit you with another did you know when it comes to the Czech Republic. It says Czech Republic are ever present at the UEFA European Championship as an independent nation, reaching 7 successive final tournaments. So they've been ever present for the last 7 installments of the tournament. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the website real quick so we can look at the head-to-head before we move on and talk about Poland versus Slovakia. Now let's go see what's happening in terms of Poland versus Slovakia. Now, it's very interesting. So far, every head-to-head we've done when it comes to the context of the Euros, every one of those teams have met each other 5 times since the year 2003, 4 times since the year 2000. But here, since the year 1999, these two teams have met a whole 9 times. 4 wins on either side, 1 draw between them, leaving that record very clean through the middle. But looking at their form might give us an idea of what's going on. But even there, still even 58% form either side. Now that means they have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses on both sides. Except when you look at the Czech Republic, they just got back into winning ways. While you look at Scotland, and they are unbeaten in their last 5 games. I mean, 3 draws and 2 wins. They still have not lost completely. So if they continue on this form, they might still be having a hand in the group come the end of this week. Let's go down, OB.KNOWS. Let's see what the 2 and 3 information points have to say. They say Czech Republic haven't won any of their last 3 games against Scotland. Very scary stats. And it says when playing at home, Scotland have not lost to the Czech Republic in their last 3 encounters. Now that balances it out a little bit more. Let's see if there's a deciding factor here. Scotland haven't lost in their last 5 games, like I just said. So for me, it's a very hairline kind of situation. It's either you pick left or you pick right. But based on the stats, I mean, it looks like a very even out game. I feel like if you're brave enough, you should just go for the draw. But if it was me, I wouldn't go for the draw. I'd want to go for something more risky. See if maybe a Scotland win might be on the cards. But I think that's what I would go. So let's put the website down. Let's talk about Poland versus Slovakia.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about Poland without talking about the man of the moment, the man of the hour, the man of the past 2 seasons, Mr. Robert Lewandowski, Mr. 41 goals himself.
Yeah, he's going to be a very important player for Poland coming into this competition. I don't know if he'll be able to, you know, carry them like he carried, you know, Bayern Munich with so many goals, you know, throughout that season where he got 41 goals. But it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually bring it out. I mean, if Poland can be able to make it out of these group stages, I mean, what else could happen for them? I mean, once they get into a knockout stage, of course, I don't think they have a great defense, but they do have a great attack, you know. So I do think if they can make it out of the group stages, then we'd be, you know, probably looking at the surprise packages of this tournament. Despite them having Lewandowski, I still think they could be a surprise package if they can get out the group stages.
All right, we might have scored 41 goals for Bayern Munich, but for Poland, he's only scored 6 goals in qualifiers building up to this tournament. And in qualifiers, they played 10 games. Obviously, they had 8 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and they had themselves 18 goals they scored and only conceding 5. So that's something that we need to look at in terms of their squad, because OB.KNOWS is making mention of that defense, so we'll definitely want to go check it out. And obviously, if we're talking about key players, we have to talk about that band. But OB.KNOWS, listen to this. I mean, this did you know is very interesting. It's something I want to read out to the people at home. It says, Blaszczykowski, you remember Blaszczykowski? Yeah, Blaszczykowski is Poland's all-time Euro top goal scorer with 3 goals. Now, Lewandowski only needs 1 goal to even at least match him. So now we know that Lewandowski hasn't been performing well in the Euros. I mean, he only scored 2 goals so far all time in the tournament, but we'll have to see how it goes in this one. But he's been injured for a few. I think he was injured the previous.
I mean, the thing is also who you're surrounded by counts a lot. You know, who you're surrounded by.
No
Can
Tomas.
they find him in the right spaces? You know, can they get the ball, you know, through the eye of the needle? I don't think that's, you know, he's not blessed with that commodity in Poland, you know, unlike when he's at Bayern Munich. So
Yes, Tomas.
I think it's going to be difficult still. It's
All
gonna
right,
be very difficult.
let's go to the website. Let's go see what we have in store. Don't forget, for you to join us on the website, all you need to do is SMS Super TV to 30978. Let's go see what's popping. So when we arrive on the website, this is how it's looking. Poland and Slovakia. Let's scroll down and see what the numbers have to say. 1995 is they played 7 times since the year 1995. 2 victories for Poland, 4 victories for Slovakia. Wow, wasn't expecting to see that one. But as you can see, 1 draw between them. Looking at their form, now Slovakia also beating Poland when it comes to that, because they have 50% form coming into this game, meaning that look at that, they've won 1 game, lost 1 game, and they've drawn 4 games. And in their last 5 games, they've been unbeaten. Now looking at the other side, we're going to be looking at Poland. Poland have 2 draws in a row before coming into this tournament. They have a loss just before that. So looking at their record, they have 2 losses, 1 win, and they have 3 draws. Not looking so good. So it says Slovakia have not lost in their last 5 games. So that information point just reassuring you to the fact that Slovakia are in the better form. Obi knows, is there a way for us to look at the squads real quick? Obi knows is going to let us look at the squads. So we're going to go to teams, and then we're going to choose, let's start with Poland, because that's the team you were talking about just now, because I'm also interested in Slovakia. But Poland first, let's see what's going on there. All right, so let's try to see who is in the squad. So these are the players in the squad. Obviously, the flag is going to be the same. Fabianski, Arsenal fans will be happy to see him. And then Szczesny as well, another Arsenal, former player of Arsenal. And look at the age gap, just 5 years between the 2 of them. And then let's go down over. I want to look at the defensive pairings. That,
So the defensive pairing they could have is of Jan Bednarek of Southampton.
They'll definitely play Glick.
Yeah, or Kamil Glick.
Yeah, they'll always play Glick. When it comes to Poland, they will never bench Glick. They always, unless if he's maybe injured, but he's the elder statesman in the defense. I mean, if you look at him, he's the oldest defender that they have in that defensive pairing. So they'll definitely want to play Glick. Let's go see the call through the midfield and see which options do they have there. Obi knows?
Well, in the midfield, it doesn't seem like there's, famous people, but there's Jakob Muder there.
And Klitsch as well, the number 14.
Yes,
Klitsch.
from he's playing for Leeds United.
Yes.
So one thing they are going to do is try and dominate through the wings. They're going to try get in those crosses.
Let's go down and go see the wings you're talking about.
Yeah, they're going to try get into these crosses so they can get the ball onto this guy.
So as Obi knows is saying, I mean, you see the focal point has to be Robert Lewandowski for them. And look at his age, he's also thinking to himself, this might possibly be his last Euro. And if he also wants to be considered a coach, he'll definitely want to pick up this result. So let's put the website down. Number 20 is Zelensky. Yes, Zelensky is also
Napoli,
another player that we should be looking at. But let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at Spain versus Sweden. Then we'll move on and look at the Copa America before we talk about what's happening in Egyptian football.
You're locked into Super TV, only on OpenView, channel 150.
Ufuna ukuba yiblesser. popa with super bets. Simply SMS Super TV to 30978 and start playing.
You're locked into Super TV. Only on OpenView, channel 150.
Shocking is what we're dealing with right now. We're talking about the Euro 2020 and we're about to talk about Spain versus Sweden. Welcome back to the show. This is Mo Sports. It's on channel 150 on your OpenView decoder, Super TV powered by SuperBets. And alternatively, you can check us out either on Facebook or on YouTube. You just go on those platforms, search for Super TV, and you can either subscribe or follow depending on the platform you're on. I'm joined as usual by our in-house sports analyst, Mr. OB.KNOWS, and we're looking at the Euro 2020 before we move on to the Copa America. Before I get ahead of myself, let's test your footballing knowledge. Here's a little bit of trivia for you. Well, he is an Italian legend and he did make a few appearances, around 56 for the national side between the years 1988 and 2004. He played for the likes of Brescia, Inter Milan, AC Milan and Juventus. If you know who he is, the number is 071-621-4746. Once you save the number on your phone, then you can send us a WhatsApp message with the answer and we will read it out live on air for you. But let's carry on with the conversation. Spain versus Sweden. Spain versus Sweden 5 years ago would have been Ibrahimovic versus Vela or Torres. But now it's Ibrahimovic versus Alvaro Morata. Now let me paint the picture of basically where Spain is at the moment. I mean, Spain in their qualifiers, they won 8, they drew 2 games, so they didn't lose during their qualifiers. They scored 31 goals, they conceded 5. But listen to this, their top goal scorers in qualifying was Alvaro Morata, Sergio Ramos, and Rodrigo, all sitting on 4 goals each. Now, it paints a picture of a lack of a number 9. I mean, you looked at England, they had the number 9 there. You look at Poland, they had their number 9 there. You're looking at, with Belgium, they had their number 9 there. But you're looking with Spain, they don't have a goal scorer. And this is funny how the legacy that was left by Vicente Del Bosque is now coming to fruition, because when he played his last Euro and won it, he went to the tournament without a number 9. And that's when Fabregas was playing that number 9, that false 9 position. And since then, it looks like they haven't been able to fill those shoes.
It's not easy to fill those shoes. I mean, you're looking at the quality of the squad that they had then. I mean, the experience was there to be able to not play with that number 9, you know. But coming into this Spanish squad, I mean, their only out-and-out number 9 is Morata, you know. And once he goes out, they have to, you know, do a makeshift. They're either going to play Gerard Moreno up front or they're going to play, you know, Oyarzabal up front, which I'm really not convinced by in terms of saying that these players are strikers. I mean, I'd like to see them playing behind a striker. You know, that's where they're most effective, you know, playing behind a striker. So I don't know what, Spain are going to be doing in terms of, you know, how they're going to do this season, but I don't have a lot of hope for them. You know, I mean, they're not... Enrique was not brought in to rebuild a team. This is not Spain's rebuild team. This is him taking the best players he has available, apparently. You know, so
apparently,
I'm saying apparently because there's no Real Madrid players in there. You know, like I'm pretty sure they could have at least found one good enough Real Madrid player to get into this team. But you know, none of them apparently are not good enough. So he's taking players, you know, according to how good they've been this season, and it's a very young squad. You know, inexperienced. I don't know how the defensive pairing between Pau Torres and Laporte is going to work out, but you know, looking at both the seasons they've had, they've been, you know, outstanding for their teams. Far less outstanding was Aymeric Laporte, not getting quite a lot of game time, you know. But I do think,
Ruben Diaz, my boy.
Yeah, it's Ruben Diaz, but also the injuries that he has had as well. You know, kind of, you know, I mean, you can't tell me John Stones is a better defender than Laporte, my guy. It was just a matter of him, you know, not being fit enough to play. But I do think that he could be an important figure, you know, in the Spanish side. But I'm just waiting to see how they're going to line up in their first game, because that's what's going to be, a tone setter for the rest of this tournament. Like we saw with England, I mean, we can already tell who, you know, the coach, chooses or likes the most in terms of, you know, his lineup. And I think it's the same thing with Spain. We need to see who he's going to line up with before we can make, you know, assumptions and say, these guys are not going further. But as it stands right now, I have completely no hope for Spain right now.
All right, OB.KNOWS, and now that we know that in Sweden right now, they don't have the service of Ibrahimovic because of injury at the moment in time. Who are the two key players that you are looking at and earmarking to be actually bringing in the impact for the side?
There's one player from Juventus by the name of Dejan Kulusevski, right? He was actually the guy. Yeah, he was actually the guy who got Ibrahimovic thinking about, you know, coming back, you know, into international football. And right next to him in that graphic is Alexandra Isak, and he's been, of course, wanted all across Europe because of the season he's had with Real Sociedad, you know. So these are going to be two very vital players for Sweden in this encounter. So I do think that going up front, they look very good. I mean, with these two players in there, I think they look good up front. It's just unsure about, what they're going to do through the midfield. I mean, they've got Emil Forsberg in there who can, spark up something from the midfield. But we'll have to wait and see how they can actually perform against the Spain side, because despite the fact that Spain is very inexperienced, it's still Spain. And I do think in terms of, mentality, Sweden will be going into this game thinking, okay, it's a young Spanish side. We can, do something against them. Let's give ourselves a try. I think it's going to be a firecracker of a game.
I mean, it's a young Spain, but don't forget who's in the midfield. I mean, they still have the service of Pedri, they still have the service of Thiago Alcantara. It's going to be a very difficult midfield to break down. But let's move on and talk about the Copa America. Now, for all those people at home that don't know, the Copa America is the tournament that takes place in South America. The one that Brazil won last time out, the one that gave Coutinho his singular Copa America. Now, the teams involved, 10 teams playing this tournament, and so far the two groups have now kicked off with Brazil and Colombia picking up their wins. Now, let's start off with the Brazil side. OB.KNOWS, you want to talk about the squad, you want to talk about those players, because look, before you even start speaking, let's talk about the fact that he says, no, Brazil are the favorites. Brazil are defending this title. And let me just remind you, we just spoke about Spain. Spain is the only side to have defended their title in the Euros. They won it in 2008, they came back and won it again in 2012 without a striker. I will stress this a million times. Without a striker, Fabregas played the number 9 role the whole tournament. That's why I always said Vicente Del Bosque is something special. But let's talk about Brazil, OB.KNOWS. We talked about their coach Tite. We looked at his trophies, and we looked at the coach of Argentina as well. But let's talk about Brazil. Why are they the favorites?
I think the way they played yesterday kind of, set them aside from, the other teams. I mean, the way that they can go forward and go to the back, there's cohesion that's going on about that team. They know exactly where to be at the right time, and it's very hard to find in a national team because you need to play quite a lot of games together to be able to get that sense of cohesion. And that's what's been happening with this Brazil side. Since 2016, Coach Tite has been bringing in these young players. Well, Gabriela Barbosa, he got the goal as well yesterday. He's been very impressive for Brazil over the years. So for him to be, part of this national team as well, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, who were brought in from a very young age. I think he was 17 when he made his first debut for Brazil, and that's why
he was not even a full-fledged Man City player.
And he was not yet a Man City player as well. So I think that process of bringing in this new generation and to get them where they are right now is why Brazil are so dominant at this point. And I don't see a glitch in the way they play. I mean, they've got Casemiro in that midfield. You've got Fabinho side to side. My guy, what wrong is going to happen?
Nothing's going to go wrong.
Nothing's going to go wrong.
But the thing is with Brazil, Brazil have so much squad depth. It's disgusting. Let's go show you the amount of squad depth that Brazil have. Don't forget to SMS Super TV to 30978 if you also want to join us on the Super Stats website. Like OB.KNOWS said, they're the favorites, and the reason why is the squad depth. Let's go see it. Now, when you arrive on the website, we're going to click on them. And you don't judge us because we're going to be naming players like we know them here. And you'll be like, it's because these guys, they watch English football. Let's scroll down and let's go see. As you can see, like we're saying with the defense, I mean, looking at the two goalkeepers, 1 year apart in age, but these are two quality goalkeepers. I mean, one won the Champions League, the Premier League. One just won the Premier League this season. What do you say? Let's go down to the defense. I mean, look at that. Emerson, Danilo, Felipe, Lodi, Marquinhos. I mean, they went with Eder Militao and Marquinhos in that centre-back pairing. But what wrong could happen with those two players there? Real Madrid and PSG's centre-back pillars right there. Thiago Silva not even getting a chance to play in this game. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but look at the ages of those two centre-backs. You'd want to develop a player like Eder Militao because you have a lot more years coming for him. A player like Thiago Silva, I mean, he's playing his second one. I mean, he's trying to get his second medal. I'm thinking he doesn't need this game time. He's already had it. Now, let's go down, OB.KNOWS. As you can see, there's your Casemiro, there's your Fabinho, there is your Fred. Now, looking at those three names there, I mean, Fred's stats are just crazy. I mean, in terms of what he's been doing for Manchester United in defense for the past 2 or 3 seasons. Fabinho for Liverpool and Casemiro for Real Madrid. But looking at their ages again, 92, 93, these guys are about the same age. I mean, the only thing that will scare you is that who's going to place them once their time is done there in Brazil.
Same time together? So
let's go down, OB.KNOWS. They're all brought in at the same time together. Look at that. Douglas Luiz, Paqueta, I mean, OB.KNOWS, I know, Paposa, Everton, Firmino, Gabriel Jesus, Vinicius Jr., Neymar, Richarlison. And still, this is without Coutinho. This is a squad without Coutinho, OB.KNOWS. And still, this is a team that actually played in that game. Lodi, Danilo, Marquinhos, Eder Militao, Casemiro, Fred, Paqueta. I mean, let's put the website away. what can be said about Brazil at this moment in time? I mean, Brazil are the team to beat, and you've just seen their squad. I mean, throughout. And what I love most about the squad, I mean, if we look at Argentina, we'll name 4 big strikers, but here we're talking about balance. We're talking about defensive midfielders that are great, proficient at what they do. We're talking about goalkeepers that are great, proficient, the best 2 goalkeepers in the world in one team. We're talking about a midfield with a lot of great names, and everywhere you look, even their defensive pairing. That defensive pairing was in the semifinals of the Champions League.
My guy, I'm telling you about it. I told you, dog. I told you that Brazil are going to be unstoppable. Now, my question will obviously be, what are they going to look like in the World Cup? You know what I'm saying? Like 2022, next year, how are they going to look? Are they even going to compete? Because I think that with the squad they have now, they excite me. They bring so much excitement. I mean, you see with the 4-3-3 formation, having Fred in that midfield, you know he's going to clean up for you. You know Casemiro's going to clean up for you. If none of them are doing the job, you bring in Fabinho, you know what I'm saying? Oh. But Lucas Paqueta, an important player in this team because he carries the ball from the defensive third into the final third of the field, and he does it.
He delivers it to Neymar.
You know what I'm saying? He gives it to Neymar, who's out wide. Next thing, Neymar's cutting in, and he's behind. He's getting a goal. It's scary.
All right,
let's
see if this team can basically 2 decades later be able to achieve what the class of 2002 did. But let's move on. Let's also talk about what's happening in Egyptian football. Do you think that they'll be able to repeat? Do you think they'll be able to do what 2002 did?
I think so.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I don't buy it.
I mean,
the World Cup is next year.
No, I really. What do you mean? These guys have been together since 2016, Mo. That's
when they got smacked.
They got smacked 2014. That's when they got smacked.
All right, fine. Let's talk about Egyptian football, guys. Let's just talk about what's happening in Egyptian football. OB knows what's going on in Egypt.
Well, it's back into action. Back, with games kicking off once again tomorrow. I mean, they've been on a 2-week break, if I'm not mistaken, and Al Ahly once again still not playing. I mean, in this 2-week break, I think they could have at least fitted in those 2 games.
So luckily, I've not played any of their catch-up games, and they're still not playing any games at this moment in time.
The next game, if I'm not mistaken, is the CAF game against Kaizer Chiefs. Not against Kaizer Chiefs, but against Esperance. So, I think what Zamalek have been doing is trying to put pressure on the EFA, to give Al Ahly games.
They need to do that.
It's not happening.
That's not cricket. You don't bat first and then come in and I'll bat after you. It doesn't work like that. I mean, even in psychologically in cricket, if you bat and you have a terrible innings, like you have a very terrible innings and you finished off with all out 80 runs, the other team is gonna, if they get to at least 40 with no outs, they're going to think to themselves, we can make it to 80. And you're talking about the strongest batsman in the team. I mean, you're looking at a whole 5-6 games in hand.
Yeah.
That's not normal in football. That's unregular. That's not okay. But it's something that we will discuss some other time. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we have a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You're locked into Super TV. Only on OpenView, channel 150.
How to register a new SuperBets account. SMS Super TV to 30978 and you will receive an SMS with a sign-up link. Click the link you receive, which will direct you to the SuperBets mobile site. Click login. On the pop-up, click register now. Fill in the required details on the form, from your ID number all the way to your contact details. Be sure to choose a strong password that you will remember. After filling in your details, click submit. In a few minutes, you should receive an OTP if your details were entered correctly. Back onto the SuperBets mobile site, type in your OTP. In a few seconds, you will receive a welcome SMS confirming your new account. A 50 Rand sign-up bonus will reflect in your account within 24 hours of your sign-up. Welcome to our family. SuperBets, bet with the biggest.
You probably SMS Super TV to 30. You can also score big by simply SMSing Super TV to 30978.
You're locked into Super TV. Only on OpenView, channel 150.
Welcome back to Mo Sports. Now, if you're just joining us, we are done with most of what's happening in the Euros and the Copa America and Egyptian football. And now we're about to talk about some of the gossip that's going around the corridors in world football. Welcome back to Mo Sports. My name is Mo, and I'm joined by OB.KNOWS as usual. And we're looking at what's going on in world football. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, here is the Mo riddle, just to test your footballing knowledge and see just how well you know the game. If you have the answer to the Mo riddle, the number is 071-621-4746. Now, before I get into what we're going to be talking about, we did make one big mistake. We forgot to show you the fixtures that are coming up in the Copa America. So let's go to the website immediately and go show you what's going on there. Don't forget to SMS Super TV to 30978 if you also want access to the Super Bets and Super Stats website. Let's go. So it's a buy one, get one free kind of situation. As you can see, Argentina are still going to play Chile. Chile without Alexis Sanchez. A Chile that I feel we'll look at their squad because there's a team we need to look at. And as you can see, there's Paraguay and Bolivia. Now let's go to that Argentina versus Chile, OB.KNOWS. Let's just go look at the squad side by side and see the names that are going to be involved in this game. As you can see, these teams have met 16 times since the year 1930. Woo! That's way back. Way back.
I don't think we've seen something like that.
We've never seen a 1930. We've seen 1999, 1980, but 1930, my goodness, let's scroll down, OB.KNOWS. Let's not get hung up on the 1930.
But only 16 more, that's concerning.
That means, but there's not a lot of tournaments down there. Now it's going to increase very drastically. Let's go all the way down to the two squads and see how these squads are going to be lining up for this tournament. Scroll down, next match is league positions. Okay, click on Chile on its own. And then let's go see that squad. So as you can see, Claudio Bravo, the man between the sticks, he's already won a Copa America, if I'm not mistaken, two even in a row, back to back. That's what Brazil is trying to achieve right now with this class of players. Medel Gray, I haven't seen that player in a while. And then Gray Medel, and then OB.KNOWS going to take us through some of the other players.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about
Aranguis. Well, like I think this team, what they are going through right now, is a point where, you know, they've lost most of the important players in this team.
It's a new generation.
Very new generation.
When you see Sebastian Vargas in there,
the few we can call from the previous generations: Claudio Bravo, Mauricio Isla is in there, Gary Medel is in there. We're also looking at
Mina is also in there.
Who's this?
Eugenio
Mira, yes, he's in there as well. We also got Eric Pulga in there. He's an important one for them. He's going to be very important for him. He lit up the Serie A this season. Arturo Vidal is in there, you know. But the most important player, of course, is this guy here, and he's not available. You know, so they'll be looking at Eduardo Vargas to lead them up.
But it's amazing how a team like this, in the same era where Argentina had your Messis, your Higuains, your Agueros, your Di Marias, your Dybalas. I mean, let's put those down. Dybalas. They had all the names in the book. They had all the names that Europe had, and they still couldn't achieve what this team was able to achieve with the few names they had. But yet again, we did make mention of that gold Olympic win for them, and that might have translated into the senior side because these players have won gold in the Olympics as youngsters, and they were able to translate it. But let's talk about OB.KNOWS, the MMA. Mamkhize. Umama. Mamkhize. She's not buying it, eh?
Nah, she's not resting, my guy. Mamkhize wants a team in the PSL.
That ma must stand for mixed martial arts, Mkhize, because she's not buying it.
She's fighting.
She's mixing the martial arts right now.
She's
like, there's no way.
Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday when the arbitration came out? I think it was the day before yesterday.
It was on Friday.
The arbitration came out and said, no, wait, give me to Kune the 3 points. You know what I'm saying?
She's like,
no, and just 24 hours later, I'm taking it to court one more time. You know, so they saying that you know, they played out the season as.
So basically, they don't temper that they can win that playoff.
So the reason why they don't want to go into the playoffs, it's been 2 weeks now since the players were on a training ground. Since that last weekend when they played and lifted that title, so Mamkhize told the boys, go rest, enjoy the title that you've won, go and rest. So the playoffs are supposed to play on the 15th, which is this weekend if I'm not mistaken. It's supposed to happen on the 15th. How is it going to happen if these players are not training? Of course, Mamkhize doesn't feel confident that her boys can jump into a training.
But you're professional footballers. What is vacation to you? You must be at the gym. You must be on a treadmill, on a bike. You must be doing something. You must be like N'Golo Kante taking pictures with a smile and cycling.
Vacation time.
You don't. What is vacation? Is it like plumbing at home and playing PlayStation?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, so when Ronaldo are posting there by the beach, it's nice vibes.
But you see with Ronaldo, he's posting at the beach, six-pack vibes. He ran to the beach. He didn't drive his Ferrari to the beach. He ran to the beach.
You don't know if...
and on top of that, Ronaldo has an island. So he's constantly surrounded by the ocean.
But you don't know.
He could go to the bathroom and
you don't know if Chairman is doing sit-ups at home. You don't know if he's
Chairman is not. He's sitting with his mom going, Mama, Batitina, Asingena. Let's move on and talk. Let's talk about Christian Eriksen before we get ourselves into trouble. Let's talk about Christian Eriksen. Guys, Christian Eriksen did have an incident on the pitch where he fell. What are the doctors saying, Obino?
Well, it was an interview of Dr. Sanjay Sharma, and he was his former cardiologist at Tottenham Hotspurs, and he says he was tested in incomprehensive detail when he joined Spurs, and was tested annually ever since then until he left in 2019. His cardiac investigations were normal, so it really does beg the question of what happened yesterday. It could have been an undetected cardiac condition.
So I spoke to a doctor today and we were talking about it. The doctor didn't see the incident. The moment I made mention of the incident, I said a player fell over on the football pitch. She made mention of, I don't know what they call it, but it has a Latin name. So basically what this condition is basically as a footballer, you constantly have like a football maybe or a cricket ball hitting your heart. So the heart basically goes through a cycle every time it hits a heartbeat. So on the first side, it's initiating that beat. On the other side, it's resuscitating to come initiate the next beat. If something was to disrupt that, it might cause you to go into cardiac arrest. So which basically is what happened to Eriksen. So the ball might have not hit him in the chest, but it's something that if something was to disrupt his heartbeat, then that would cause him to fall over and pass. So maybe it's not a condition. Maybe it was just that one incident, maybe early on in the game, a chest trap or something that did disrupt his heartbeat and it drove him into cardiac arrest. Now, before we end the show, let's give you the answer to the Mo riddle. The answer to the Mo riddle is
Roberto Baggio.
Obino's not lawyer. You mentioned this man's name during the show.
I did. I didn't mention it during the show. I mentioned it during the break. You see. And that's the umpire for Brescia. He played for Brescia. Actually played with the same, with Pirlo. Remember Pirlo went on loan to Brescia before he joined Inter Milan. So that was during the time when Pirlo was part of that Brescia
team. And Pirlo was still playing number 10.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for joining us today here on Mo Sports. From myself, OB.KNOWS, the Super Pace team and the Super TV team, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again on Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m.
You're locked into Super TV, only on OpenView, channel 150. Got something to say? Chat to us live on air via our WhatsApp line. WhatsApp us on 071 621 4746.